Hi, boys and girls. I'm going to read Chapter 2 of Chocolate Fever. Chapter 2 is called A Strange Feeling. Better hurry, kids, Mama Green called from the kitchen. It's almost 8:30. Let's go, Slowpoke, Mark said to Henry. We don't want to be late. Just one more chocolate cookie, said Henry. He popped it into his mouth and, still chewing, went into his room to get his books. On the way to the front door, Henry went through the kitchen and gathered a handful of chocolate kisses to put into his pocket. He liked to have them handy to munch on at school, but this morning, because he still felt somewhat hungry, Henry stripped the silver wrapping from 2 kisses and popped them into his mouth. Then, after a quick kiss for Mama Green, a kiss that left a little bit of chocolate on her face, Henry, Elizabeth, and Mark headed out the door on their way to school. At the corner, Henry and Mark waved goodbye to their sister, who had to take the bus to get to her high school. The boys' school, PS 123, was just another block away. At the next corner, Mrs. McIntosh, the crossing guard, waved them across the street. The light is always green for the greens. She said it was her own little joke, and she said it just about every morning. This morning, only Mark, who was extremely polite, smiled. Henry just didn't feel like smiling. In fact, he was beginning to feel a little strange. In the schoolyard, the boys went separate ways to join their classes. As usual, there was a lot of pushing and shoving and fooling around, but Henry, who was always very good at things like knocking hats off boys' heads and making goofy faces at girls, was quiet. He didn't even say hi when Michael Burke, his best friend, came along. "Well, what's the matter with you?" asked Michael, grinning. "What do you mean, what's the matter?" Henry said. "Can't I just stand here? Do I have to carry on and behave like a nut?" Okay, said Michael. "You don't have to bite my head off. It's just that you're kind of different today, not like you at all." Just then the whistle blew and all the children began marching into the school building. "I feel funny today," Henry said to Michael. "I have a feeling something is going to happen and I don't know what." That exact feeling that something was going to happen stayed with Henry all morning. He felt strange in his homeroom, strange when he went to gym class, and in Mrs. Kimmelfarber's math class, he felt strange all over. Henry couldn't concentrate on what Mrs. Kimmelfarber was saying. He just sort of sat there and stared. Without thinking about it, he was looking at his arm and the back of his hand. And then he noticed something. There were little brown freckles all over his skin. Now, this would have not been such a startling discovery, except for one thing. Those little brown freckles were not there when he woke up this morning. At the front of the room, Mrs. Kimmelfarber was going through the drill on fractions. She was saying, "And if I take 6½ and subtract 1¼ what do I have left?" She looked directly at Henry, who was looking directly at his arm. "Henry," she asked, "what will I have left?" "Little brown spots all over," said Henry. "I wonder what those little brown spots are." Here's the picture. Look, little brown spots all over his arm. I want you to think about the story. Think about chapter 1, think about chapter 2, and please go on to Flipgrid and tell me what you're thinking right now. Make a Flipgrid. Tell the class what you think those little brown spots are and what caused them. And I will see you tomorrow for chapter 3. Okay, bye.